Hey, Erica here. If you've done years of good therapy with a therapist you trust, who actually knows what they're doing, you can narrate your patterns with total precision and still run every single one of them. This video is for you. I am not anti therapy. I have been in therapy myself. I still am in therapy. What I want to offer you is a different explanation than you're just not ready or you're resistant. I am a neuroscience-based life coach, a somatic healing practitioner, and this part matters more than it sounds like it should, a folklore scholar. Because every culture in recorded history has had its own version of this work, long before anyone called it nervous system regulation. I designed the work that I do around 3 checkpoints. The first marker shows up early, typically by your second session with me. It's the point where something you've practiced starts appearing on its own, outside of a session, before you've consciously decided to reach for it. The second lands around the midpoint. This is a real check-in built into the container specifically for this. So by then, you can actually name a trigger while it's happening in the moment instead of piecing it together 3 days later on a drive. And if needed, we can shift. The third arrives near the end. This is when the old automatic response has been replaced by something real, a structured, felt alternative that's actually there, not something still being assembled. That's the shape of it. Early, mid, close. It's built around the actual timeline of nervous system change, which moves at a different speed than insight does. Talk therapy and most coaching, books, podcasts, including plenty of my own social media content, operate primarily on your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for language, reasoning, insight, meaning making. It's genuinely important, and doing that work is not wasted time. But the patterns you're trying to change, the people pleasing, the over functioning, the reflexive hedge before you say the hard thing, those live primarily in your amygdala and your broader nervous system. That's older, faster, and it does not update from language. It updates from felt experience repeated at the body level. This is why you can have a genuinely profound realization in a therapist's office about why you do what you do, and then 40 minutes later be back in traffic, cut off by another driver, and your whole body reacts exactly the way it always has. The insight was real. It just wasn't stored where the reaction lives. I'm not telling you to stop going to therapy. I'm telling you that if insight were sufficient on its own, you would have already changed because you clearly have no shortage of insight. Coaching often has the opposite problem. A lot of coaching skips the nervous system layer entirely and goes straight to behavior. Do this morning routine. Implement this boundary strategy. And it works for about 3 weeks until the old pattern reasserts itself. Because nobody ever addressed why the pattern was there to begin with. I have lived both halves of this personally before I built anything I now teach. Years of therapy that gave me extraordinary language for my patterns, but didn't move a damn thing. What actually changed things was combining somatic practice, EFT, and inner world meditations and archetypal work. Kali, Hecate, the wild woman, figures that have functioned as psychological technology for women for thousands of years, with the neuroscience I had already been studying. That combination is what changed my own life enough that people who've known me for years started asking what happened to my face before I had said a word about this to anyone. And the women I have worked with since keep showing the same shape. The insight they already had for years finally landing somewhere their body could use. Over and over again, the shape repeats. Most of what's out there in the coaching and healing space oversells transformation and undersells what it actually takes. So instead of just telling you about the method, I'm going to teach you one real piece of it right now. This tool is called effect labeling. It comes directly out of the same body of research I mentioned earlier, studies on what happens in the brain when insight meets or doesn't meet the nervous system. Right now, notice what you are feeling underneath whatever it is that you are thinking about this video, not the story about it, just the sensation. Put one honest, specific word on it. Not fine, not okay, something accurate, tight, flat, wired, heavy, skeptical, curious, whatever's there. Say it out loud or in your head, just the word. And that's it. That's the whole practice. The way this tool works is that by putting a specific, accurate word on a feeling activates your prefrontal cortex and measurably quiets activity in your amygdala. The same two systems I described earlier, it's one of the only intervention in the research that shows the thinking brain directly calming the reactive brain in real time, which is exactly the gap this whole video has been talking about. Not managing the feeling, not analyzing it, naming it, and then watching the volume come down. That technique alone won't rewire 20 years of a pattern. Naming a feeling once isn't the same as retraining what your body does the next 50 times it shows up. The hard part is knowing which tool in which order for your pattern, sequenced across the container with someone tracking your nervous system. That it's the piece I can't hand you in a video. Whether it happens with me or with someone else, it requires naming the pattern precisely, not generically. It requires practicing the felt shift live with someone tracking in real time what's actually happening physiologically in your body. And it requires enough time held by someone else for that new response to become automatic. If a program, mine or anyone else's, skips any of those, I'd be skeptical of how durable the results are going to be. Here's my guarantee. This ends when you have a clear map back to yourself, not on a fixed date. If we reach the end of the container and the map isn't drawn yet, we keep drawing it together for free. Part of that is in my own interest. I only have so many hours in a week, and I'd rather spend them getting you to a real finished result. That's just good math on my end, because then I can start helping other women. But if I'm honest, that's not the real reason. This work is not a job for me. Watching women come home to themselves lights me up. And I could not in good conscience walk away without knowing that you have a clear map back to yourself. I'm not going to teach you the somatic sequencing or the full EFT protocol here. Handing it to you in a video would give you the broccoli, the facts, without the red velvet cake, the actual felt experience of it working in your particular body. I'd rather be honest about what this requires than perform generosity that I can't actually deliver through the screen. Our work together looks like this: live, one-on-one sessions built around your specific nervous system, not a generic script. Between sessions, you have message support with me, so what surfaces doesn't sit until the next call. I work with women on this in more than one structure because not everyone is starting from the same place. Which one fits is exactly what the roadmap session is for. This only works if you're willing to do the practice between sessions, including alongside any therapy or coaching you may already be doing. If you're looking for something you can think your way through without discomfort, this isn't the right work for you yet. And that's okay. Just don't book the call. But if you're willing to be uncomfortable on purpose in exchange for the rest of your life looking different, then this work could be for you. You are clearly not someone who needs more convincing that something is wrong. 3 checkpoints, early, mid, close, built into the architecture of this work on purpose. 1 real tool I just handed you, and a lot more where that comes from, but only really works live. A guarantee I keep because it's smart for me to, and because I genuinely could not walk away without knowing that you have a map back to yourself. Come home to yourself by the end of this container, or I keep working with you for free until you do. There's a link below to book a roadmap session. I'll ask you real questions, and I'll tell you honestly whether this is the right fit or not. I'll talk to you soon.